everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be answering your questions. Thank you to subscriber Melissa B for asking a question on my recent video. I just came out with a video on how to correctly use Liquin, and she asked an excellent question. So if you haven't seen that video, go watch the video and then come back here so we can answer this question. Her question was, as a beginner, I can't seem to get the ratio right, as in how to judge 20 to 30% Liquin to paint. Here's my suggestion for you and anyone else having this problem. Liquin usually comes in a container like this. It's kind of large and it has a pretty large opening, so when you're pouring it into your paint, sometimes it's kind of difficult to gauge whether you're putting too much Liquin into your paints. So my suggestion is to not use this container. Rather, what I do is I buy these empty paint tubes just from my local art store. I fill them up with Liquin. Here's one that I've got taped up and labeled. I do this with a couple different mediums, oleo gel being another. So this is full of Liquin. It's just like the size of my other paints. In order to get it into the paint tube, you're gonna need a palette knife. So just take your palette knife, scoop a bunch out, put it into the paint tube, and you're gonna find that it's likely that you're gonna have a situation where it leaks out. So I bend it multiple times and then I just tape the end with some duct tape, and that's been totally fine. Now, I travel with this all the time. It's always in my backpack, ready to go. And it's a good idea to label it if you're doing multiple mediums, just so you're aware of what medium you're putting into your paint. I'm gonna demonstrate with just some raw umber. Typically, I'll lay out all of my colors. I'll squeeze out the amount that I plan to use. In the later stages of my painting, I tend to use a lot less than the earlier. So I'll squeeze out a little bit like this, and because this is in a paint tube, it's so similar to squeezing out the paint out of the tube when you did it before. So this helps me gauge that 20 to 30% to make sure that I don't go overboard. I'll squeeze it out right next to it. Might be kind of hard to see, but I like to go on the lighter side, use less rather than more, because you will run into a situation where if you use too much Liquin, you're going to create a very glossy surface. Now, that isn't necessarily a bad thing in all cases, but having less is kind of a good idea. What I usually do is I squirt out all the colors that I'm going to be using, and then I take my Liquin tube and I put the quantity next to the paint before I pre-mix it, and you can kind of gauge and eyeball what 20%, 30%, just based on the physical quantity laid next to your dollop of paint. And once I'm happy with this mixture, I'll just mix it up together. If I have too much, you can always just scrape it and either put it back into the tube or save it for later and put it on the side of your palette. So that was a good quantity. I'm gonna pre-mix that, and I mix them in the center of my palette. So thank you, Melissa B, for subscribing, and thanks for your great question. Now, I'm seeing that many of my subscribers are asking questions. I plan to do more of these in the future. So if you want your question answered, make sure you're subscribed, because I'm only going to be answering those of you that are regular viewers and are asking these awesome questions. I'll see you next time in another video where I answer your questions.